into the future where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So wait, Funkhouser, what was your question?
So what's going on in France? Because I don't know exactly which team to root for. And there's a lot of buzz on the internet about something happening in France, like an election.
Right. Well, you're no longer rooting for anyone. It's over. It's done. Although, I mean, here's the thing. Like, our election has been in the books for a long time, and people are still rooting. Hashtag not my president. Hashtag bring back Bernie Sanders. Hashtag if Hillary had only let things, it's like, yeah, no, sure. Why not? You can still root for someone, but there was an election in France. Actually, what is kind of interesting about the whole thing is that there's a couple of very interesting things about the French election. And one of those things that kind of blows your ever-loving mind, in France, you get to do this thing called a protest vote. You know what a protest vote is? A protest vote is when you go, I don't like this guy, I don't like this girl, and I don't like that other person. No, I'm going to write... I'm going to vote blank. And this indicates that you don't want either candidate.
You can do that there?
Yeah. So like either Emmanuel Macron or Marine Le Pen, who are the two candidates. Now, the thing about the number of people that voted for no one is interesting because it's the highest it's been in like 50 years or so. It's the worst abstention rate in the French presidential runoff since like 1969. And in 1969, 12 million registered voters stayed away from the polls. Now, added together, 16 million people, 1 in 3 French voters, 25% voted no on everyone. And that's an incredible amount. Like 16 million people saying none of the above, putting that into perspective, the woman that lost, who was the hot ticket, Marine Le Pen, the National Front woman, she got 11 million votes. 16 million people said, I'd rather vote for neither of you chuckleheads than Marine Le Pen.
Why was she the hot ticket, though?
Well, okay, so, and this is the other part of the reason why this is interesting on the world stage. A lot of people, rightly or wrongly so, a lot of people will equate Brexit, England leaving the European Union, with Donald Trump getting elected for a couple of important reasons. A lot of the campaign platforms were the same. It was this sort of like nationalistic, look after our country first, economic nationalism, control our borders, let less people in. We don't need to be part of this globalized group, and we don't have to take the lousy deal that we've been a part of for such a long time. That was the idea of Brexit. Now, here's the thing about Brexit. Similar to Trump, from the very get-go, people were like, no one's gonna let this happen. This would, like, Britain is part of the European Union. That's a thing. England will never leave. And then everybody's watching their TV that night in utter disbelief, going, I can't believe this actually happened. This is different. This is a sign that the world is changing. This is a sign that people are going, no more. We want something else. And a lot of people say it was a lot of horrible pandering to the lowest possible needs of a person. Hey, you're getting effed out of money. It's immigrants' fault. We're going to bail on the European Union and we're going to be really, truly an island. We're England. We're not part of Europe. We're not part on that continent. We're an island unto ourselves, metaphorically and physically. And because those immigrants are coming in and taking money from you, and because we are losing money because we're paying it to the European Union, we don't get it for our national health service, and we're going to put it into that and look after your health. You pay taxes, there's shortages of beds. Let's, instead of giving money to the European Union, dump it back into our healthcare service. So they went, hey, let's appeal to people's basest needs. And when I say base, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but the need for survival And if you tell someone you're not making enough money to live, but you will be able to make enough money to live if we bail on the European Union, well then, you'll be good to go. Oh, you're worried about healthcare? Well, here's the thing. If you're worried that you won't be able to get a hospital bed with our socialized medicine, you should know when we bail on the European Union, we're going to put all this money into healthcare, and then you're going to have a job that pays you actual money. And if you get sick, someone's going to look after you. And everyone went, oh man, that's exactly what I'm worried about. We're going to vote for this. And people went, holy effing God. This happened? The guy that suggested it, Nigel Farage, seemed just as surprised as anyone else. And it's very similar to what happened here in America with Trump. And people were expecting a repeat of that with Marine Le Pen in France, and they did not get it. They got something very different instead.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, Funkhouser, you wanted to know what happened with...
I still don't quite get it.
Okay, you wanted to know what happened with the French election. And I think one of the things that you don't get is, why are we as Americans paying such close attention to the French election? Why do we care what the French are doing? We never seem to have cared that much about it in the past.
Kinda.
We enjoy the fries, but beyond that, except for that time where we had to start calling them freedom fries. The reason why people are so interested in this is because, like I said, Brexit happened in England, and then Trump happened in America. And the parallels are, well, let's take the main parallel. This is a long shot. This is not going to happen. This seems very unlikely. This is looking a little more likely, but no one's really taking it seriously. This, you rest assured, this will never happen. This, it happened. All right, then. I guess we'll see how this goes. And people took Brexit and people took Trump's election as a sign that, in general, we were fed to the back teeth with the status quo. That we, as not only people in America, but people all around the world, had it with how things were going. Collectively, we have had it. We want to change, and we want to change now. And we want to change so badly that we just voted for the most radical possible option. We basically all played our wild card across nations through things like Brexit and Trump's election. And on the other side of the coin, look at Bernie Sanders. Look at the headway that guy made. This is a guy who was running on a platform of democratic socialism. Now, understand, democratic socialism and socialism, two entirely different things. However, this is America. And just the idea that someone who is running on a platform that had the word socialism in it could make the kind of headway that Bernie Sanders made, it really does indicate that on the left and on the right, people are like, we're done. That's it. We want something else. We want something different. This is broken. This feels broken. What the hell, man? What the hell? We want something else. And so along comes the French election. And folks are going, is this going to be another Brexit? Is this going to be another Trump? Because Marine Le Pen was sort of, look, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of her ideology that you could, if you wanted to make an argument, equate with Trump's. This sort of America first, hire American, buy American, tighten up the borders, let less immigrants in, and look after our own stuff. Some people will call that sensible and patriotic. Other people will say, you're being racist. Whatever the case may be, they both ran on very similar platforms. So if you had a problem with some of the things that Trump said in terms of not letting people from other nations in, about, it's time we look after ourselves, and other people, they got to kind of deal with their own stuff. If you're one of the folks that had a problem with that, well, if you were in France, you probably would have had a problem with Marine Le Pen. But here's the interesting difference. France basically existed under a system of socialism for a very long time. Things like socialized medicine, unbelievably high taxes, all the things that you associate with socialism. And look, if there's one thing I know about these situations, there's varying degrees of socialized something or other in lots of different parts of Europe. And I talk to friends in France, and I talk to friends in Europe, and I talk to friends in England. And the problem that you run across more often than not is there's a lot of people that work really, really hard. And as hard as you got to work to get ahead in America, you got to work even harder to get ahead in a socialist country. You straight up have to make more money because taxes are outrageously high. It's really something. But if you do work really hard, then oftentimes you're looking at people that abuse a socialist system. There's people that work incredibly hard to get where they are, and they're paying unbelievably high taxes, and they're going, these people that are abusing social programs are what the hell, man? That's not cool. I'm working so hard to be who I am and put together what I've put together. And meanwhile, I understand this is a system that's meant to protect everybody, but that has to stop. And so that's basically what Marine Le Pen was coming along and saying. No more will we have people bottom feed off of your hard work. It's going to be very different now. And everyone was expecting Marine Le Pen to win. And she drew tremendous amounts of fire on the world stage for a couple of reasons. One, she's a bit of an extremist by a lot of people's standards and was looking like she was actually going to win this election. And you look at Brexit and you look at Trump and then you look at France and go, is Marine Le Pen going to win? And if she had won, if she had actually won, it would have basically said to the rest of the world that there's a global Trump movement happening across the globe. And that's not what happened at all. Instead they elected this guy, Emmanuel Macron. Why is he interesting? Well, he's in a political party that's only existed for about a minute and a half. It's true. We'll get into what he represents next.
Money making, skills on the mic, to be paid every day, and for part of the battle, just back down, better act what you know.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of yous, guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah, give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on.
So, Funkhouser asked the question, and it's a justifiable one. Everyone's talking about the French election. Why is this such a big freaking deal? I will tell you why, Funkhouser. Pass the garlic, perhaps a loaf of bread. But here's the thing. You ever seen Charlie Brown? That movie, that Charlie Brown movie, Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown and Don't Come Back? And he goes to France as an exchange student, and he tries to buy bread. And he always asks, he's like, un loaf de bread, s'il vous plaît. And because it's a French loaf and it's really long, every time he tries to walk out the door with it, it breaks. It's hilarious. Watch that movie. It's freaking great. Anyways, what was kind of interesting about what happened in the French election is that you look at Brexit, you look at Trump, and then along comes Marine Le Pen. She's a far-right individual. And she's making serious headway. And everyone said, no effing way is Brexit going to happen. Oh, it happened. No way is Trump going to happen. Oh, it happened. And a couple of years ago, everyone was said the same thing about Marine Le Pen. But based on what happened with Brexit and Trump, everyone was going, oh, snap, it's going to happen. It's a global Trump Brexit movement. Ah! And what's interesting is, look, Brexit, Trump, these things represent that people across the globe are hungry for change. And they didn't get the kind of far-right change that Le Pen stood for, and some people feel Trump stands for. They got a different kind of change. Emmanuel Macron, I'm sure I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but we're in America, so Emmanuel Macron, he's a young dude. He's not a career politician. He used to be an investment banker, and he easily won France's presidential election, defeating the nationalist Marine Le Pen. And he kind of stood on a platform of, well, centrist. He was a centrist, meaning the center, not far right, not far left. Let's hang out in the middle and be sensible and somewhere centrist. And he's really young. Like I said, he's 39 years old. Never held elected office. Youngest president in the 59-year history of France's Fifth Republic. Campaign, completely improbable. And so in that way, it was similar to Brexit. It was similar to Trump. Because this guy had never been in politics before. But he completely blew France's establishment out of the water. In much the same way that Trump did. Now, people watch this election around the world. This is what we were talking about before. Why are we paying such close attention to the French? We never have in the past. What the hell? As Funkhouser put it, why are people still talking about this? I don't remember. Funkhouser, do you ever remember in your adult life people talking about a French election?
No, just the freedom fries.
Yeah, this is the first one. So why are we looking at it so closely? Well, I
really didn't know they had them.
Yeah, they do. They don't have kings in the. There's no more French kings. Anyways, there's tension across the globe, around the globe. When I was in Austria, hanging out with my dad, listening to the person, I went to Austria to be with my dad during his heart surgery. And the guy recovering in the hotel, in the hospital bed next to him was an interesting and fun dude. He was in there for surgery. He'd had on his leg. He jacked it up while he was skiing. And he was like, oh, you're American. And my dad was like, yeah, I really like Vienna. It's great. And he was like, is it so great? The youth are despondent. They want everything now. And the immigrants are coming in here. And it's very hard to, they want everything their way. It's like our country and they want everything their way. I was like, oh my God, except for the accent. This could be a conversation that had been had in the good old US of A. So there's this interesting tension that is seething through Western democracies. Very aware of it here in the United States. People are angry. Angry about politicians. Angry about the political establishment. The political mainstream. And I think so much of this comes from the fact that we're coming out of a massive, massive recession. Financial crisis that happened, when the mortgage business and the housing business absolutely collapsed. And we're still all kind of broke, I think. I get that impression. Talk to a lot of people about their jobs, and they're like, it's funny, housing prices sure have gone up in the last, since the market crashed, housing prices are going up like crazy. But I'm kind of making the same salary. I'm trying to buy a house right now. And a coworker of mine was like, dude, how are you going to do it? I was like, the same way you did it. He was like, no, I bought mine like a long time ago, a little after the market crash. Now I'm making kind of the same money, but home prices are through the freaking roof. There's absolutely no way. How are you going to do it? I was like, I think I'm probably going to have to drive Uber on the months that I don't make enough money to pay my mortgage, but I can't throw away any more money on rent. So I'll figure it out. I don't know. But you're in that situation. People 10 years ago are getting paid the same or less than what people 10 years ago are getting paid the same or more rather than what folks are getting paid now. So there's this tension, there's this anger at mainstream politics, the political establishment. There's this anger that we're still broke. If you put a zero at the end of everybody's bank account, a lot of this anger, this sense of, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to survive. Quick, I got to look around and find someone to blame. A lot of that goes away if you remove the element of economic insecurity. And so, then there's all this resentment toward immigrants. We need someone to blame for the fact that we're broke and we can't find a job. Look at that immigrant with a job. Must be their fault. That's what this political leader tells me. Wow. Okay, cool. It's not a problem with me. It's not a problem with my work ethic. It's not a problem with me and the fact that I haven't figured out how to navigate the terrain in this new world. And by the way, things are tough for a lot of people. And if you can't find a job and if you don't have enough money, these are not things that I'm saying are solely your fault. But there's a lot of people that I've met that are just in such a rough place. Many people are in such a rough place because they've made poor decisions, or because they didn't think, or because they realize when they're 30 or 40 that they have different and more needs than they imagined they would when they were in their 20s. And they're going, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Now I've got a wife. Now I've got a kid. Now I've got a mortgage, and I just can't keep up with any of it. I'm just struggling to keep my head above water. I wish I would have gotten a real career when I was younger, and I wish I was in a different field where I could make more money. And I can't go back to school because I can't stop paying the bills. And it's this vicious cycle. It's this treadmill people are on. And a lot of the time, responsibility falls to you. It always falls to you, because whether you like it or not, whether it's a result of a poor decision that you made or not, your situation is ultimately your responsibility. Could the government be run more efficiently? Hell yeah. Government sucks at doing stuff. This is well established. Is there plenty of blame to lay at the feet of government? Absolutely. Does a government control your life and your destiny? You better hope to hell they don't. Because as we've discussed, they can't fix the pothole at the end of my road. You really going to trust them to run other parts of your life? No. They're there. You have to participate in democracy. But ultimately, as you and I have discussed millions of times on the show, it falls to you. And that is kind of what's interesting about Macron. I got to figure out how to pronounce this guy's name, Funkhouser. But we all know who I'm talking about. Macron. And he said something interesting. He said, I understand the divisions of our country that have led some to vote for extremists. I understand the anger. I understand the anxiety, the doubts that a great part among us have also expressed. I will do everything I can in the coming 5 years to make sure you never have a reason to vote for extremism again. So it's a different kind of revolution. And maybe it's because they started so far to the left, being a socialist country, that they didn't make it all the way to the right and vote in the National Front woman, Marine Le Pen. And I don't know enough about French politics to really comment effectively on what we think of Macron. But he seems to have captured the public imagination in France. He won the election. I mean, he's got 5 years of his sensible, middle-of-the-road approach. And he's basically said, this insecurity, all the drama that you're going through, everything that's happening in your life right now that makes you grasp for an extreme solution, an extreme political solution, I'm not going to give you a reason to do that anymore. I'm going to do my best to look after you in a way that you can be sensible, live your life without having to jump to some sort of extreme to fix what ails you, or feeling like you have to. And you know what? I don't know a thing about him. Maybe he'll go down in flames. And I know a lot of people that love Marine Le Pen and what she stands for. And I'm not dancing on the grave of her campaign in any way, shape, or form. But that message, I will do everything I can to make sure you never have a reason to vote for extremism again. I understand the divisions in our country that have led some to vote for extremists. I understand the anger, the anxiety, the doubt that a great part among us, have also expressed. But don't worry. We're going to fix this together, and we're going to hang out in the middle, and you don't have to be extreme, and you don't have to look for someone else to blame. You just have to work on yourself and be the best version of you that you can be, and things are going to work out. And that's an extremely appealing message. Not one that was offered by anyone. I guess Gary Johnson, our libertarian candidate, sort of did that, but you know what smoked it for me with Gary Johnson, Funkhouser? When he was on Triumph, the Insult Comic Dogs political, like, did you watch any of that? No. It was so genius. It was like my favorite piece of political coverage, and they did a fantastic. You what?
It was good.
Yeah, it was great. It's still on Hulu, I believe. You can watch it. It's not as funny now. It's funnier when it was going on, but it's still great. But Gary Johnson hung out and was more than a willing participant in letting Triumph the Insult Comic Dog make fun of him. And Triumph the Insult Comic Dog basically took him around all these political campaigns and at the Democratic and Republican national conventions and went, "Do you know who this guy is?" No. And he came up with some goofy answer like, "Oh, I'm starring in a reality show about a guy that wants to be president." And it was just like, that's a really goofy thing to say. You don't say, "I'm starring in a reality show about someone that wants to be president." You go, "I'm your candidate for libertarianism. And if you don't know about that," which apparently you don't, can I talk to you for a second about that? That's what you do. And he didn't. And it was just like, oh man. So we did not have. And it's crazy because you have an extreme idea of revolutionary thought to the left and an extreme idea of revolutionary thought to the right. No one's interested in the sensible middle way. No one's interested in the centrist. Otherwise, we'd have Kasich as president right now. Whatever. I believe this, but we got to think about how everyone feels. No, people responded much more to, "We feel this way, and anybody that doesn't feel that way is an evil a-hole that's going to hell because they hate America." That's what we had. That's why we had Sophie's freaking choice when it came to pulling the lever. People I knew who couldn't stand Trump that went, "I'm going to vote for Hillary, but she definitely should be indicted." Definitely. And people who voted for Trump that went, "Oh man, he says and does the most reprehensible stuff, but I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton. I'll pull the lever for that guy." We didn't have the revolutionary thought of someone who said, "Hey, I understand why you're feeling this way. I understand why we're like this. I understand why we're divided. I'm going to make it so you never have to feel divided again to the point where you are catered to by an extremist who offers false promises to fix your problems."
Now, more AD on the radio.
So you feel like you're clear on that, Funkhouser? Do you understand why we paid such close attention to the French election?
Now, but I
Right.
still feel like you put the responsibility on them, like the people listening. Every time we talk politics, the responsibility always falls to you.
Oh, what you mean? The person? Are you saying that personal responsibility is something that I come back to over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's almost like people should, be responsible for their own life and their own actions and the consequences of them, huh?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's. I'm glad you picked up on the fact that I keep coming back to that, Funkhouser, because it's true. People don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear that they're responsible for their own actions. People want to hear that if I vote for this person, everything's going to be better. That only because of Obamanomics am I so unbelievably broke. only because of Reagan's failed economic policies that we still haven't recovered from have things gone so poorly. And you can trace it all. I know there's plenty of people that will still trace their problems in 2017 back to Ronald Reagan in 1982. And you know what? There's probably all sorts of valid arguments for that. But ultimately, who does it fall to, Funkhouser?
Well, them. You.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. How much joy have you ever gotten out of politicians? How many concrete changes have they ever made in your life?
Me? None.
Yeah.
None that I can
How
think
about
of.
that?
I mean, I'm sure, like, streets and safety.
Well, no. Like, I'm not saying
Budgets.
anarchy is the way. Although sometimes I secretly think that. But, I think there's a lot of terrible people out there that would take advantage of an anarchistic situation. I'm not one of those folks that thinks without order things would go well. However, there's things that we need. Roads, water systems, parks, public transportation. We don't have, some parts of America we do, but generally speaking, there's much less of that around here than there are in other parts of the world. But government provides things, infrastructure, sure. The road, the park. Great. But have you ever felt like an elected official has made a difference in how your daily life plays out, Funkhouser?
Not lately, no.
No. And neither have I. And when people look around for someone other than themselves to blame, I get it. Politicians have done some horrible, awful, terrible, evil things. Don't trust them as far as I can throw them. And you have every right to go, man, things suck because they did this. But you know what you can't change? You can't change what a politician does. And you can't change the stripes of a politician. There's a very small number of them that are genuinely into this idea of being public servants. There's a very small number of them that recognize that you are the person paying their salary. But think of it this way. In how many other situations does the person you're paying to do something get to call the shots? Can you think of any, Funkhouser?
Nothing I could say, like, on the air.
Right. That's the thing. You're their boss. You're their employer. Yet they dictate how you're going to go through your life. The vast majority of the politicians that you will come across and vote for in this lifetime are perfectly okay with that. They genuinely believe we're up here and you're down there. We're making the rules and you live by the rules. And we're going to take your money and live off of it. We're going to blow it on hookers and cocaine. Remember that guy, Trey Radel? Yeah, the people in Florida remember that dude. That was a dude that took a bunch of public money and spent it on cocaine. That stuff goes on literally all the time.
How long ago?
And, oh man, this is like 2-3 years ago. Wow. It goes back a little ways, but not as long, not long enough to have forgotten about it. So yeah, again, it always falls to you. But, from the outside looking in, and there's going to be people that call me an idiot because I don't know what I'm talking about. And you're right, I don't know what I'm talking about. But from a broader perspective, from a greater distance, what this guy, the centrist dude, represents, sick of the political establishment, not a career politician, and someone who says, everybody chill the hell out. You're not going to have to go to extremes to live a happy life where you have money and you feel safe and secure anymore. I dig that. I like the idea that there's a solution without flying off the freaking handle and going completely over the edge, one way or the other way. So the jury's out. This is the first time I think America's paid such close attention to what's going on in France. Overall, we don't really care, but because it is indicative of what's going on in the world around the globe, because there's these simmering tensions in all of Western democracy. What happened in France just now That's an important thing. And like I said, if that's a cooler head prevailing, man, I'd love to see more of it. All right, then, Funkhouser.
I just want to know if the naked ladies are still dancing.
Oh, my.
there.
I believe that there is a place in France where the naked ladies dance. Not only that, no one's filled in that hole in the wall where the men can see it all.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. How did the rest of that song go? There's a place in France where the naked ladies dance. There's a hole in the wall.
There was really a guy 3 years ago in Florida that did that? That's silly.
Congressman, hold on. Now you're going to make me check.
Is he, like, in jail?
No, he's hanging out.
How did that happen?
Hold on. Let me. I'm going to sound like an idiot unless I get all my facts straight.
To Google.
Hold on. Yeah. No, now he's writing a memoir.
Oh, of course. That's how
He's cashing in on it. Yeah, he's making money off of the fact that he misappropriated American funds, spent it on cocaine. The hardworking taxpayers of Florida had to take a massive chunk of their earnings out of their pocket and give it to the government so guys like Trey Radel could go gack up multiple lines, get fired from his job, and then get paid copious amounts of cash to write a memoir about being such an epic F-up. Great.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So you don't remember this guy Trey Radel at all, Funkhouser?
No.
This
No,
is
I'm on the whole
this
other
is
side of the coast.
this is your classic politician. Now this happened a few years back.
Is he like our
But
age or older?
he's a little older. But he's not old. I mean, he's like 41, I think. So, he was probably in a Pearl Jam mosh pit at some point, Lollapalooza, doing keg stands back in 92, That makes sense? That a good enough reference point for you?
I like it. He had hair longer than 4 inches once.
Well, we don't know about that, but this is the thing. This is like, there are, like I said, some politicians that are acutely aware of the fact that their job is to serve the public. It's a calling. It's something they feel compelled to do. I want to help. I want to serve the people of this country. I want to be in politics. I want to make a difference. And you know what? Sadly, even those that enter politics with that attitude, I believe it fades over time. I don't know. I wouldn't touch politics with a 1,000,000-foot pole, but there are some folks that are genuinely principled out there. The vast majority of politicians are fame whores, is what they are. People that are in it for the cash and in it for the notoriety. I bring this up all the time. Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich makes the vast majority of his money, not from the government, no. He makes it from his speaking engagements. And remember that memo that went out right when Donald Trump was elected? The agent that handles Newt Gingrich's speaking engagements let everybody know, hey, I know you've been paying this to hear Newt speak in the past, but he's got a special up-close and personal relationship with Donald Trump and an insight into his character. So now, because of that special relationship he's got with the president of these United States of America, a leader of the free world, and one of the most genuinely interesting, if you're not too terrified about the situation we're in around the globe, men in the world, because he has Donald Trump's ear a little bit, Newt Gingrich will now be doubling his speaking fees. And I think the vast majority of politicians fall into that category. You want money, you want fame, but you can't write anything more interesting than legislation. You're not exceptionally talented. You can't tap dance. You can't do anything that is genuinely of entertainment, that has any real entertainment merit. So you turn to politics because you can just be a blowhard, have lots of cameras on you, collect the cash, write memoirs, be good to go. Oh, people are interested in me and what I have to say. That's because they're hoping they don't die. They're looking at you for answers because they're worried they're going to run out of money and they're going to die. They're going to break their leg. There'll be no health care for them. And, so it's this false sense of puffed up self-importance that a lot of politicians have. And Trey Radel is, to me, the archetypal version of that. Why do I say that? Well, he didn't start as a politician. He was trained as an actor and a comedian. Thinks he's freaking funny. He performed improv work at Second City in Chicago. And then when he realized no one was hiring his ass as an actor and he wasn't really funny enough to make it as a comedian, what did he do? He started working as a journalist. Local TV, as an anchor and as a reporter. He was an intern at CNN. Then he worked for CBS affiliates in Houston and in Chicago. Did I ever see him in Houston? How long ago was that? I don't know.
Like English and stuff?
He was a TV and radio talk show host of Daybreak on WINK TV. I don't know where the hell that is. But here's the thing. Look, right or wrong, I genuinely believe that this is what I do. I'm a guy that's on the radio. And you know what I love the most about being on the radio? I love the fact that I get to hang out with you. I love the fact that I might get to add some value to your day. Whether it's this or the music radio, I do. I love the fact that you and I can share our thoughts and our feelings and some conversation and some tunes and some laughs. And if that helps you get home, if that makes your miserable commute a little less miserable, I love that. I love being a part of a community. I love feeling that radio is my little way of leaving the world a slightly better place than how I found it. So you'll never see me making a grab for politics. But Trey Radel, yeah, he realized that he didn't really have what it took to be, he's not going to come out and extemporize off the top of his head and be interesting to anyone because he sucks. He's a failed entertainer. He's a failed actor. He's a failed comedian. He was a failed TV and radio talk show host. And what do those people do? Well, they're desperate for the spotlight and they want that notoriety and they want some of the cash that goes with it. And I forgot to mention his pornographic domain names.
What?
But that, so you're not interesting, you're not talented, you're not funny, but you really, really want the attention, so you go for it as a politician. Yeah, it's interesting. Trey and his wife founded a nonprofit organization. It's called the U.S. Forces Fund, which focused on helping injured soldiers returning home from abroad. Super awesome. Very, very cool. But his other business was he founded Trey Communications, a conservative media relations firm. The company purchased and sold domain names of a pornographic nature. Like, oh, has anyone got roundandbrown.com yet? Nope, let's snap that up and sell it to the highest bidder. That was his thing. And then bear in mind that his entire salary paid by taxpayers. And on October 29th, 2013, so we're going back like 4 years, Funkhouser, he was arrested in D.C. after trying to buy like 4 grams of cocaine off of an undercover federal officer. Like everybody's doing tons. Everybody is doing tons of, look, so many politicians are blow monkeys, you wouldn't believe it. So you would think that you'd have the sense to be smart about wasting taxpayer dollars on your coke habit. But no. He tried to buy 4 grams of cocaine from an undercover fed. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor count of possession of cocaine and was sentenced to 1 year of supervised probation. Never mind that there's plenty of other people rotting in jail for way less. Draining our resources as a country. Overpopulating prisons for doing way less. Like 3.5 grams of cocaine, that's an awful lot. And, well, understandably, he said he would be taking a leave of absence from Congress to undergo addiction rehabilitation, and that he would be donating his salary to charity during his absence. But he didn't follow through on that. No, he stopped short of resigning. And understandably, people called on him to resign immediately and focus on his rehab and his family. And so finally in 2014, he tendered his resignation and bailed. And so what did he get? He got a year of supervised probation, and now he's got a memoir, or he's writing a memoir. That's a politician. That's a congressman. That's a public servant. That is who your taxpayer dollars are going to more often than you'd like to think. A failed stand-up comic hack who wasn't talented or interesting enough to make a run of it, so he decided politics would be easy, then gacked up a bunch of your hard-earned dollars. Never forget that. And I'd love to say he's the exception, not the rule. But you scratch the surface, you're going to find more and more folks like him. Again, Funkhouser, why it falls to you. Hey, there's this guy who's a failed stand-up comic. He also has a cocaine habit. Do you give him money to perform a task that is intimately tied to your well-being? No, you freaking don't. And if you do, you're a moron wrapped in an idiot, and you deserve what you get. Like, that's just it. Yet he can make a real go of it in politics.
But he could be different.
No, he's not. He is the same. Let's do some news. Let's do some news. There you go.
Okay, fine. Only a couple of them, though.
Yeah. Are we almost out of show again?
Yeah, we got like 3 minutes or something.
Oh, all right. Some news then.
Bob Seger is celebrating his 72nd birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Bob Seger. Great.
Against the wind.
I think these days, every time he turns the page, he's worried that he's getting to the end of the book.
Man,
Not even going to tell you. Not even going to tell you what his night moves consist of these days. Okay, I'll tell you. Mostly getting out of bed and running to the bathroom to pee 3 or 4 times. When do you start peeing in the middle of the night, Funkhouser? When do guys get so old?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know either, but like a buddy.
Late 50s, maybe late 60s.
I got a friend who's younger than that. Like, I've never asked him his actual age, but like he's in a completely different time zone to me, and sometimes he'll like message me or comment on Facebook. I'm like, what the hell are you doing up? He's like, sucks getting old. I got up to pee. I'm like, you seem a little young for that. He's like, yeah, well, I'm not. It's coming for you, bucko. Go on. What else?
It all depends on how you take care of yourself, I guess.
Well, no, apparently, like, you can take great care of yourself, and still, after a certain point, you're going to be getting up like 3-4 times in the night to use the little boy's room or the old man's room, whatever the case may be.
I do it once at like 4 in the morning. I drink too much water. Okay, the Mickey Mouse Club is coming back, but as a Facebook-only show.
Oh. You know who's going to watch it? Noone. No one. No.
Oh, come on. You don't scroll past the Facebook. You watch it for 2 seconds.
You don't watch Facebook. Nobody watches shows on Facebook.
There are no shows on Facebook.
Well, there's going to be one now. It's going to be the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch that.
They're running out of little Justin Timberlakes and they're running out of little Justin Timberlakes and Christina Aguilera's. They've got to start that thing back up to create the Trey Radel Gak Fiends of tomorrow. Go on.
Hey, can we go out with the song that's all about the city I'm going through now?
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Oh, it's pretty.
One? Marty Robbins.
Hold on. This could be like 8 different things right
Out
now.
in the West Texas,
Oh, of course.
El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl.
You ever been through El Paso, Funkhouser?
No, this is the farthest east I've ever been.
It's an interesting town, man. It really is. I mean, there's parts of it that are not good. Like the first time I went to San Diego from Texas. Texas is a huge state, so you're not going to get out of it in one day. And And people went, whatever you do, don't spend the night in El Paso. And this was like my Mexican friends telling me this. They're like, just don't. Yeah. Hey, not a good idea. You probably want to avoid spending the night in El Paso. Are you spending the night in El Paso, Funkhouser?
Yeah. So why? Quickly.
I've been strongly cautioned against it. It's a dangerous town. But you know what? I think you're going to be okay, and I think you're going to have some great stories. I hope you have an awesome time in El Paso, Funkhouser. And if you wind up dying, don't die. Let me tell you, you're the best producer I've ever worked with.
Don't say
I've
that.
met a lot of guys in these business, Funkhouser. I've met a lot of guys in this business, and most of them have been like you. Stay safe, Funkhouser.